Hey guys, welcome to the Kansas City Cast. We're so excited for our second episode today. If you're new here, this is the Kansas City Cast. I'm Micah Mars. This is my twin brother Mason, and this is our good friend Jarred. We work together. We sell real estate together here in Kansas City, and this podcast is all about Kansas City and what it has to offer. Today, we're going to start off with our hot spot of the week, and that's McLean's Bakery. Jarred, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, McLean's is one of my Kansas City favorites. It's been around for a very, very long time, purchased by a new family who took over from the original owners, and they have expanded the business across the city to different parts. I'm partial to the one in North Kansas City just because it's the closest to us, right? Northlanders here. But man, they have some amazing things. I've never heard anything bad there. From all the pastries, cakes, cupcakes, cookies, all that stuff, down to like their full hot meals. Fantastic. So they have lunch, brunch. They have something called the girl breakfast. Have you guys heard about the girl breakfast?
No, I have not heard about
It's
that at all.
aptly named in that there's just like a little bit of everything. So if you don't have to decide, you just get a little bit of all the different things on the breakfast menu. My wife gets it almost every time we go for breakfast. It's perfect. It's such a great thing, and they even throw like a little cookie in, just a little dessert for brunch. So it's perfect. But
You always need dessert, right?
you
No
always
matter
have
what
dessert,
you eat,
right?
yeah.
But so much great stuff. Cinnamon rolls are amazing.
So I've heard really good things about the cinnamon rolls, but I've never had one.
They're amazing.
Okay.
I love them.
Do you get them when you go for breakfast, or?
From time to time. They also, they
Yeah,
also have
cinnamon.
just so much good stuff. It's hard to choose.
Do they sell them all day, or are they only there?
They sell until they sell out.
Okay.
So,
So you got to get there quick then.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You don't want to be too late because then you might miss out.
You've gotten a cinnamon roll with afternoon coffee though before, right?
Oh, for
I'm
sure. For sure.
That's
For sure.
If they're still there, you got to get one.
Definitely. They also have, like, my wife always wants to get, they have like these almond coffee cakes, and they're so good. I'm not even a big almond fan, but they're awesome. So tons of great options. You can't really go wrong. They're open until late in the afternoon. So if you need afternoon coffee, you'll pick me up or something. Great for that. But love it. We always try to hit it when we're down in North Kansas City. But lots of great options around the city.
That's awesome. Our main topic today is Kansas City sports culture. We're going to be talking about everything that makes the sports culture here in Kansas City so amazing. Let's start off with kind of obviously the big three, right? In Kansas City, you've got the Royals, Kansas City Chiefs, of course, and then of course Sporting Kansas City, which is the men's soccer team. What do you guys think makes the sports culture in Kansas City so unique and maybe different from another part of the country?
I think it's the tailgates. I think it's especially, we have it with the Royals too, but especially with the Chiefs, people will start lining up. For a noon game, it's not uncommon to see cars out there at 4, 5, 6 in the morning waiting to get in. They open the gates and they've got their RVs, their pop-up tents. They've got the barbecues out, getting ready to grill something for lunch. And people literally will hang out all morning, all day, ready to go, and then head into the game and watch that. So there's that culture of just that camaraderie when you're walking around. You get into Arrowhead, you're walking around all the different tailgates. Strangers will share food with you. So you just happen to walk up, strike up a conversation. Hey, you want a burger? You want a brat? You want some barbecue? Whatever we've got. It's not uncommon for people just to share with the people around them. And so that's really cool. You kind of become all one big family, which I think is a really unique thing in Kansas City.
And the other thing that's crazy is, like, especially with our weather the way it is here, like, that's obviously in the summer. If you're a Royals fan, you're out tailgating for that. For the most part, unless it's raining or something, like, it's fairly, or 100 degrees, it's fairly pleasant to be out there, especially by the time you get to the evening. But for a Chiefs game, it could be December, and people are out there tailgating, and temperatures are negative, and that stuff.
They've got their little either fire pits, portable space heater thing.
It doesn't slow down.
Yep.
And you would think that it would, but that's the culture, and people still, they'll be there hours and hours early before the game starts to jump in on all that. And like you said, you dress warm and make it work. That's just part of what you do.
And that's just regular season. You get into playoff football. We host some of these playoff games. It gets crazy.
It does, for sure. And, people knock the Truman Sports Complex, but you don't get that without the Truman Sports Complex,
You
right?
don't.
If there's not a massive amount of parking easily accessible for people, it might be a little pricey, but it creates this opportunity for people to really engage, not only with, whoever they're going to the game with, but other fans in a way that you just don't get other places. You might get that in downtown St. Louis at a bar for a Cardinals game or something.
Yeah.
It's different when there's literally thousands of people enjoying the same thing you're enjoying, great food, even, you mentioned noon games, but even 3 o'clock games,
Oh yeah.
Monday night,
Mhm.
Sunday night, Monday night football games. Like people still are out there super early in the morning for even those, even if the game's not for another 12 hours or
Yeah, I
whatever,
mean, as
right?
soon as they open the people are lined up, outside of the gates, and they're ready to jump in as soon as they open those. So,
There's definitely a passion behind it. So much so that if you've ever been to a Chiefs game in Kansas City, we get to the end of the national anthem, we change the words a little bit. We get to that last part and the stadium home of the
that's what they do,
yeah.
and I love it too when anytime you're watching. You don't get this on televised games a lot that aren't like the big ones. Like sometimes like the last couple playoff games or the Super Bowl for sure, they'll show the national anthem. Otherwise, they usually don't televise that part. But you get to that part in like the Super Bowl, especially when the Chiefs are playing in it, and it's super cool. I know the Super Bowl is like not a ton usually of like true fans. It's mostly just celebrities and other people that want to go to that game. But it is cool still, even in that environment, to listen for the end of the national anthem, to hear that presence, to know that they've got a good hometown crowd, even in a stadium in a place like that, which is really cool.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing quite like, I'm not even a big football guy, but there's nothing quite like the culture of a Chiefs football game.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we went to an away game against Cincinnati. This would have been a couple of years ago now, but it is crazy just to see the difference in how things are presented at Arrowhead in Kansas City versus at another stadium. And things like the tailgate was a big difference. And like you said with the Truman Sports Complex, their stadium's downtown, and so you have that life where people are in and out of parking garages, and you might walk to a bar before the game, kind of a thing. But you lose that sense of camaraderie, and then the game itself, from the national anthem at the beginning to the tomahawk chop, all those things that we come to know and love at a Chiefs game that you don't get other places.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and you bring up, where else do you get something like this? Like, I mean, the closest thing I've ever seen is an SEC football game, right? Like the
Yeah,
first year,
Yeah.
I'm a Mizzou guy. The first year Mizzou was in the SEC. I think we played Bama at home, and I think they literally had more fans travel to Columbia than our
uh-huh.
stadium held. The tailgates, the parking lots were full. Like it was crazy, but you just don't see that in pro sports anywhere else, right?
Right.
Like it's just a whole different atmosphere, which actually makes it more fun. I think even if you're not a big fan, you can still kind of get caught up in the
Oh yeah.
the heat of the moment and everybody having a great time and enjoying it. So it's just
Baseball
such
is
a
kind of
unique
that way
thing.
for me. Like I wouldn't say I'm a super huge baseball fan, but you get to go out and enjoy the tailgate, and then you get to enjoy the night, out at the K, and you go for. I always try to go for Buck Night or whatever. Or I don't know if they still do that, but you can go get a hot dog for $1 and watch some fireworks through the night. Like, it's a great way to enjoy some of that culture, even if you're not a super huge fan of the sport itself. But are you a baseball guy?
I'm not really a baseball guy either.
Okay,
I'm I'm
soccer's more your
I'm a
thing.
soccer guy. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know I'm kind of the odd one out, but that's okay.
So kind of, do you get the same thing at like a sporting game?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously on a much smaller scale, but you for sure get, the tailgating culture because, Sporting Stadium is right next to the Kansas Speedway. They
Hmm.
share parking lot. So there's for sure people out there before the game tailgating and, enjoying our Kansas City spring, summer, fall, you know, kicking a soccer ball around oftentimes or playing bags or whatever. But it's a little bit smaller scale, but there's for sure still that culture of tailgating, which, is just, I think, a very unique Kansas City sports experience.
And out there with Legends right there and all that, there's tons of restaurants and
Hmm.
options to kind of go. Do you hit that stuff kind of before? Do people do
Yeah, people for sure do. People
before a
for
game?
sure are out there enjoying the restaurants and the bars and whatnot out there before a sporting game, and of course afterwards too. I think one of the nice things about sporting is that game starts at 7:30. You're usually done by 9:30, 10 o'clock, and for people who are younger
Uh
or have more
huh.
energy, oftentimes those restaurants fill up after games as well. People go out and enjoy a meal or something after a game, and again keep like the Kansas City sports experience going.
Absolutely. What do you get that kind of same sense from the game itself? Are there like signature things that you see at a Sporting KC game that really makes it feel like you only see this here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I'm a soccer guy, but I would say that there's nothing quite like a Kansas City sports experience when it comes to soccer. The game's a lot smaller. It feels a lot more intimate. You're a lot closer to the field than you could be at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
But the experience of being in there and the chants and the cheers, which is obviously like soccer culture in general, but Kansas City has adapted that and made it its own. So the kind of supporter section is known as the Blue Hell or the Cauldron, but so they've kind of aptly named the stadium the Blue Hell.
Oh, that's
And when the team's good and things are going, I mean that stadium gets loud, for 20, 21,000 people in it. Super loud. Everybody will be on their feet cheering. There's flags waving. They're just, I mean, all sorts of things that you just like really could enjoy.
I have heard that when you buy your ticket, you have to make sure you have to pay attention to what section you're in because you could find yourself in maybe a section that you aren't prepared for.
That's fair. Yep. Yep, for sure. They have if you end up in the supporter section, it gets rowdy and loud, and
Sure.
they rock for the full 90 minutes, which is a lot of fun.
So if you're sort of a more casual soccer fan, maybe don't get that ticket.
Yeah, the Cauldron might not be the best unless you just. I mean,
You
some
want to
people
dive
just
head
love
first,
sports,
like, come on,
and
let's go.
you want to dive in, and if you just love the atmosphere of being in a sports atmosphere, like the Cauldron could be a great way to watch a game. Not my cup of tea, mostly because I'm just nerdy and enjoy watching the game in a different way, but it's a lot of fun, and I really appreciate what they bring to the atmosphere there. And I think we've had something similar too on the women's side, with the current, the CPKC stadium, obviously like the first women's sports stadium, professional women's sports specific stadium in the country, which is super cool. Another thing that can't say, just we love our sports teams, but that's a really fun thing. Maybe the Mahomes effect with that, as they're involved with it. But even that team, it's again a smaller venue, but it gets loud. On game day, if you're ever driving by the stadium, it's full of people. It's just also a great experience. Even if you don't love soccer, just the display of Kansas City pride for our women's team is just huge too.
And to a game there yet, but I've heard really good things. Have you been?
I have not been yet.
Okay. I've heard really good things. And even just that location, it sits right there on the riverfront. I mean, it's just beautiful. I've heard really, really good things. It looks like a cool stadium.
And the expansion in that area. I mean, I think it's only going to get better.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to build more restaurants and more things to do out that way. And so I think it's really going to fill up as its own entertainment district. So I think going to a game there, even, in the next 2 to 5 years, it's going to be even a different experience.
Yeah. I think the streetcar expansion is supposed to go down that way. So you can get in and out of where, now other side of the river, you're sort of disconnected from downtown. And so having that, basically the ability to go all the way from there a lot further south, which connects another part of the city, it's going to be a really great, I think it's going to bring a ton of, like you said, new development to that area that otherwise wouldn't have been there.
The other thing I love about just Kansas City sports culture in general is, as crazy as some of these games get, it's not isolated just to the stadiums. Like, there's been times where I wanted to go out. I didn't want to watch it at home, but I wasn't going to be able to go to the game. So you find a sports bar or go to Power and Light and watch the game.
Yeah.
And it sometimes can be just as crazy as it is if you were standing in the stadium. And so just the passion and the fire that the fans have here for the sports teams is really unmatched. And you can really find that just about anywhere in Kansas City on game day.
Yeah, I think that was like especially on display, a decade ago when the Royals were in the World Series, right? Like people were out watching games everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the stadium holds, but you get outside the stadium and there were people downtown, places in the Northland, places out in Johnson County. Like people were everywhere watching games because the city was just on fire with the success of the team, which is really fun. And even my wife's not a sports person whatsoever, but we always talk about just how good it is for like just the city in general when the teams are doing well. Right. It's just like such a fun experience to get out, and everybody has kind of the shared pride of things, but even like the economic side of it's just huge.
We've been out watching at a restaurant, and they'll score a touchdown or something, and everyone's just walking around the restaurant just high-fiving each other. It's like we're in the middle of Arrowhead right now, and I've got food on my table, and
not even really a sports bar, like regular restaurants.
Yes,
it's kind of that culture. Especially when the team, like you said, when the team's doing really well and people are paying attention, and it kind of has that. Even people that wouldn't necessarily plug into that sport, like I'm that way with baseball. When the Royals won the World Series, I'm glued to the TV, watching that and sort of celebrating with the city, where otherwise I probably wouldn't be watching it that faithfully. But it is cool to see just how the city really rallies around together around our team and the pride and sense of community that brings.
And we've always had a really decent sports culture in Kansas City, but I think what's so cool to see as that develops and continues to grow is the opportunities, not only for just sports in general, but for sports in Kansas City. We've got the World Cup coming in 2026. And so I think that's something that it probably wouldn't have happened if we hadn't seen the growth on the sports side of things that we've seen the last few years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the Chiefs help that a ton just because, again, football's as popular as it is.
Yeah.
The sustained success that you see over a long period of time definitely makes a difference. But I think it definitely helps to put Kansas City on the map a little bit more, so to speak. It's not, we talked about this last week, but it's not just flyover
Mhm.
country anymore. There's all kinds of things happening and a great culture and great thing to plug in and be a part of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously super excited for the World Cup to come. It's gonna be a cool experience, but I think that will
You're gonna
be
go, right?
oh, for sure,
Okay.
for sure. But I also think, kind of associated with that, like there will be a different opportunity for Kansas Cityans to experience, the culture of soccer in a
Oh
different
yeah,
way.
sure.
I mean, the hope and the talking at this point as we wait for teams to be announced coming up here, which ones will be stationed here in Kansas City. Like if Brazil ends up here, like I don't think people understand, like they will travel hundreds of thousands of people, who won't be able to go to games because stadiums aren't that big, but they just want to be where their team is. They support it
Yeah,
in a way that I think we support our Chiefs fans, but like on a scale that I don't think people can ever imagine. So I
yeah.
think that'll be a really fun experience just to engage with, some different cultures as, the World Cup brings some new teams here and, some people who would probably never travel to Kansas City otherwise as they're traveling from other countries. I mean, we're a flyover country and that's always gonna be a little bit true, but like
Yeah.
you wouldn't travel to Kansas City if you're visiting the US for the first time.
No cities you would rank higher on your
Yeah,
list.
but for sure. But if the World Cup's here, if your team's here and you want to support your team, like you're going to come and they'll find out that Kansas City has a lot to offer. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And economically, I think it's down a ton and will do a ton for the city around that time. We've already talked to a couple people that are like, we want to get out on Airbnb or something before the World Cup because they want to prep and
mhm,
plan to have options for all these people that are going to come and be in the city for that. So it's a really cool opportunity for the city as a whole.
for sure. One other thing that I think we didn't mention as we were kind of prepping today, I think about like when fans travel from other places to visit for a Chiefs game or during the playoffs for baseball or whatever, like the way people in Kansas City accept other fans, I think is really cool too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're walking down the plaza and you see somebody in whatever jersey for a Royals game or football game or whatever. Like people are going to say hi and like, thanks
Yeah.
for coming and, visiting the city just to watch a sports game. I think that's a cool, very uniquely Midwest kind of thing too. We talked last time about Midwest nice as a thing. And I think sports is a great way for us to kind of display that to people as well.
I think it does. It overflows into that. There's been nights where we'll be out having dinner kind of the night before a game, and you'll see fans of an
hmm
opposing team that are here traveling. So it is really fun to chat with them and hear their story and show them what Kansas City is all about. And I think you see that at the games itself, like outside of the couple of guys that have had too much to drink and take things a little too far. Most people are really inviting and
hmm
welcoming and understanding and all that. Win or lose, there's a really good sense of community there that maybe is unique to Kansas City, maybe not.
And
But
Arrowhead does have a reputation. It's the loudest stadium. The history involved, obviously, it's a very old stadium comparatively to the rest of the stadiums in the NFL. And so there is that sense of it's fun as a fan and as a person from Kansas City to show that off. And so
yeah,
when we get people that come from other parts of the country and say, hey, this is my first time at a game in Arrowhead, it's like, yeah, let's sit down and let's have a tailgate together. Let's experience this. I want to be a part of this moment with you because this is the city that we love, the team that we love, and it's so cool to be able to share that with other people around the country, even if we would at the end of the day have different alliances when it comes to our fan base.
yeah. One of us is going to go home happy, and
Right.
someone's
That's
not.
right.
But it is really cool to be able to share that experience together.
For
Yeah.
sure. I think that's also something that's really on display. If you've ever been downtown during like the Big 12 men's basketball tournament,
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
like, we don't even have a Big 12 school in
Uh-huh.
Missouri anymore, right? I mean, obviously Mizzou left for the SEC. But KU's not too far away, 45 minutes away over in Lawrence. But, when fans come to Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament, walking downtown, Power and Light, wherever, like you see people and, you're compelled to like, hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for visiting. Like,
Yeah.
how far did you travel to get here? Especially some of those Big 12 teams are traveling a long ways to get here now and they still bring fans. And I think they have a great experience being at T-Mobile Center,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's, again, just another cool piece of the sports culture. And you can see that even teams who have literally no allegiance to our state and city, get to have a great experience when they come visit here.
Yeah. And it's exciting to see where that might go. I mean, there's been talk I know for a long time of will Kansas City get an NBA team
Mhm.
or just as that sports culture continues to grow, how we see that kind of ripple out and what other opportunities that brings to our city.
For sure. And I think the one other thing that as we kind of, wind down here, I think, we're kind of in the middle of the Mizzou KU border war. Which is another kind of cool. I mean, obviously you guys aren't Missouri or KU people, so you maybe don't feel as compelled about this as I
Don't
do.
feel that,
but,
yeah.
but being a Mizzou guy, growing up in, I would say Kansas City is probably 60-40 towards KU at this point.
Sure.
With Lawrence only being 45 minutes away and having, obviously one of the best college basketball programs in the
Yeah, the
country.
success helps for
Yeah,
sure. If you're like me and you're on the edge, you're like, I don't know,
yep.
where to land. You tend to side with the team that's doing well.
But being here in Kansas City as a Mizzou fan, and the border war is always, it's always fun to play rival. But I think the city has really embraced kind of being in between the two colleges, and has really, the Mizzou and KU, are back to playing football against each other every year, back to playing basketball against each other every year. There was a stint where Mizzou KU played football here in Kansas City at Arrowhead. I mean, some of my fondest college memories were going to those games and watching, back when KU actually had a good football program. Watching those games are intense and always fun to beat your rival. So super, super cool experience, kind of being in the middle of the two colleges there.
Yeah, there's a lot going on sports wise in that culture for our city. But let's talk now about our hot take of the week. Mace, you have a hot take for us. I think from a friend of ours. Yeah.
Yeah, this was another online submission, but yeah. The hot take this week is outdoor shopping malls are a bad idea in Kansas City. And I think, at least I'll kick it off. I think I agree. For whatever reason, they seem to be building them still. And I get it. The indoor mall, we had several around the city, and those just slowly died off over the years. And the outdoor shopping mall became popular. But the hard part about it is in Kansas City is our weather isn't super ideal for that kind of setup. Most of the days, it's either too hot to get out to walk around or too cold that oftentimes when my wife wants to go out, I stay in the car and drop her at every door
Yeah.
so that we don't have to get out in the 20-degree weather just to go shopping.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. They're not a great because it's either way too cold or snowing or raining, or it's July and it's 105 and nobody wants to be walking around outside anywhere. So there's a few weeks out of the year where it's like, okay, this is actually pleasant to go spend a decent chunk of time here. But yeah, gone are the days where you would want to, go to an indoor mall and just spend the evening. Because I think barring perfect weather, it really becomes a challenge with the outdoor shopping.
I may be in the minority, but I like the indoor mall. There's still a few in Kansas City that are up and running, and I
There's a
really
couple of them,
enjoy it.
yeah.
You can kind of go make a night of it. I like the food court vibe. I like the idea of you can walk around and hit several stores. Most of the time, it's honestly just you're there for entertainment, other than more than anything else. I don't actually even really buy things, but it's good to kind of walk in and out, see what they have to offer. A nice place to kind of hang out for the evening.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of the outdoor mall. Like, it's cool, especially in a city, we've talked about, it's not super walkable. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
I can go to Santa Rosa and, I can grab dinner or hit a couple shops. But yeah, I don't think they're not the friendliest thing, because I'm not going to do that in December when I need a Christmas shop, or, in July when it's miserably hot outside. So
Yeah, no, and I think like Legends maybe is because of its proximity to some of those other things. Like I think maybe makes a little bit more sense. You have the obviously we talked about the Children's Mercy Park out there where
Mhm.
where Sporting KC plays. You have Kansas Speedway, Nebraska Furniture Mart, which
Yeah.
is its own giant conglomerate is out
Mhm.
there. So I mean, I think there's lots of other reasons to go, and that sort of becomes like a you could pop into a restaurant or
Yep.
whatever. They have AMC movies out there, so you could go
Mhm.
see a movie there and do some shopping. So that stuff makes a little bit more sense. But if I'm just trying to, go to a store, it is a heck of a lot easier to take another person, grab your wife and drop her at the door rather than, hey, we're going to park the car and get out and go walk to find this thing. But it's, I definitely wouldn't mind the resurgence of an indoor mall, but it doesn't look like they're coming back. So
I don't think so.
But let us know what you think. Are you a fan of the outdoor mall, or are you kind of like us, where the new construction project starts going and everyone gets excited? You go, "Oh my gosh, what is this going to be?" And you say, "Oh, it's another outdoor shopping center." And you go, "Okay, I don't know if we needed one of those, but yeah, we'll see." It's still cool to see the development in the city, regardless of what it is.
it is. And we really appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. We want to encourage you to feel free to submit your ideas for hot spots of the week or our hot takes there at the end. If you have a controversial opinion about Kansas City, or you have some place that you've been that you love in Kansas City that you want us to make sure we highlight, we would love it if you would share that with us. Drop a comment below and let us know, and we'll see you on the next one.